Everything is competition or activity or time in the sun. Never relax. Never go to brunch. Never lay down and take a nap. I don't understand this life, Adam. Hey y'all, welcome back to That's So Trending. My name is Bo. We're here talking about Married at First Sight, season 20, episode 11. This is where that honeymoon phase starts to wear off for most of the couples. And so we're going to get some real conversations for the first time. And I love that. It doesn't have to be big blow ups. It just needs to be the real conversations, the hard ones. Let's hop in with the couple who left off on some mess, Shawn and Nikki. So we come back right after the producers decided to be messy and play back the scene about the wifely duties, and Shawn is denying that he stated that Nikki is somehow making this up in her head. And he tells Nikki, I don't think it's your duty to please me. And Nikki's response actually surprised me because she doesn't believe that his response to her came from a place of malice and that she's hoping to actually continue to grow with him. That's actually a really good sign. These two are repairing much quicker now, and I think she's starting to extend a little bit more grace to Shawn. Shawn, on the other hand, seems to be sliding into these habits of not telling the truth. And I think that that's really important to establish that she is going to see this, Shawn. She will have to relive these moments. That's the way that lies go. They create doubt and then they tear away at your relationship bit by bit. If she can't trust the husband, who can she trust? And I think that this is just not a good way to start off a marriage, with a lie, instead of just telling the truth and owning it. So Nikki asks a really important question about whether or not he was expecting them to get physical before decision day. And he says no, he just wants things to happen naturally. But he says that they're not going to go to decision day and stay married if they just remain platonic friends. And this is something that I've been saying for a while. Nikki values that platonic space a lot more than Shawn does. Shawn values that romantic physical connection more so than anything. And so those two things don't really align for them. And how they're talking about it is kind of skirting around the issues instead of directly tackling the fact that they have two different needs in a relationship. One is to establish a friendship first. The other is to establish that romantic physical chemistry. Looking for more clarity, Nikki asks, what does progression look like for you? And Shawn didn't really have an answer for that. He was actually triggered by the fact that she said the word velocity of the relationship. So he's like, what does that even mean? When you were in previous relationships, did you guys have to check in on the velocity? No, Shawn, because she was attracted to them people. She's telling you she's not attracted to you like that. This is the point that my boy isn't understanding. Clock in, baby. She's telling you she's not attracted to you. So the way that she even speaks about physical intimacy is going to be completely different than a man that she would have chosen for herself. And Nikki, in her confessional, admits that Shawn connects marriage with physical intimacy and she doesn't. She wants Shawn to start accounting for the emotional connection that she desires in this situation. And she's wanting Shawn to account for the emotional connection that she needs in the relationship. But if we compare this conversation to where they were a week or two ago, this is so much healthier, y'all. This is so much better in the way that they're able to see each other and hear each other. Even if Shawn, in his mind, thinks that she's making this up, he's not saying it to her. He's not being conflictual. He's not barking at her. He's not doing all the extra. He's saying that to his camera person and production team, and she's saying her bit about how he doesn't value emotional connection to her production team, and they're leaving it at that. And that's something I think we need to think about too, is the fact that because they experience the beginning of relationships so differently, this may not be a great relationship for them unless they're ready to do the work and unlearn everything they thought they needed in their partner to then build it with each other. Because that would take a lot of therapy, but if it's worth it to them, then it's worth it. So let's talk about Cameron and Michelle for a second, because they make me smile. I love their love for each other. They are definitely growing romantically. He meets with Dr. Lisa and they talk about their relationship, and he's just the human version of Hard Eyes, baby. He is so sprung over Michelle, as he should be. I think that it was good to hear him dote on her. And for him to say, I can't remember the last time I felt this way, it just felt delightful. Out of all the negativity, we have a couple who actually seems to be doing the work, and they're actually finding their way in this experiment. Even Michelle talked about how healthily they've been able to compromise for each other. I mean, these two started the experiment in very different places, different dreams, different cities, different jobs and career paths, and yet they've been able to compromise and still look forward to the future together. I think that's everything. And then Michelle starts doting on Cameron, and Cameron can't contain himself. He's in here tearing up over her kindness that she expresses about him. And that's what real intimacy will do. It'll make you appreciative of the little things. When you actually start to appreciate and care about someone, hearing them speak highly of you will move you to tears. And I think that this is genuine on both of their parts, and I love that for them. And compared to where they started on that honeymoon, these two are making huge strides. So let's check in with BelleJolie and Mecca. They're at the studio, and BelleJolie is an artist, so she's singing, and he's over here pouting. Mecca, what you got going on? Mecca says that she's been upset with him a little bit because they got in at 4:30 in the morning, which was way later than she expected to stay out the night before. And he expresses that he feels like she's disappointed in him. And Belle's like, no, I can be upset about something you did without being upset at you. And that's the difference. Belle was just disappointed in the situation. She wanted to go home earlier. But when you've never been fully accepted, or you feel like you've been neglected emotionally, sometimes criticism can come as rejection. And I think that's what we witnessed with Mecca. And that conflict ended as quickly as it started, because Belle said, my man, I will not be turning on you because of this, but I will have arguments with you in the future. And I need you to know that it's about the situation and not you. So let's hop into Devin and Caitlin. I don't like these two together, and I feel like she's so extreme with her desire for independence that Devin is never going to fit into this picture of her life with her. And he opens up by saying he still hasn't been able to crack that shell. She's still not giving him any leeway to love her the way that he wants. When I listen to him, I hear someone who's tired. I don't think that he's angry. I don't think that he's bitter. I think he's just tired of trying, or at least getting to a point where he's kind of tired, because he came into the situation kind of hopeful that he would get a wife that was excited to be with him in this experiment. And he's kind of having to really push her out of her comfort zone to meet him where he's at. And it's funny because Devin is telling us he gets more on camera than he does off camera from her. And I don't see him getting anything on camera. Now, y'all let me know what you think, but I haven't seen that man get any type of attention, affection, anything from her, except for she's in the same vicinity as him. Devin tells us that Caitlin doesn't hug him. She doesn't kiss him. You know, they're not really even saying good morning to each other at this point. They sleep with pillows in between them. And to me, that feels kind of excessive. I'll be honest with you. Coming into an experience like this, where you're getting married at first sight, you would hope that your partner is down for holding your hand at least, or hugging you. And you would hope that that could help to grow some type of intimacy, like openness and connection. And I don't see that happening with Caitlin. So to help with that, Devin plans her a Harry Potter game night. And she seems to really love it. And I like that Devin's invested in finding these little cute ways for them to connect. This is really confusing to me because Caitlin in her confessional says things like, oh, he's a really great guy. He treats me so nice. I really enjoyed this date. And yet she's still sitting across from him like he's one of the homegirls. Like, I really do think she treats Devin like a roommate that she doesn't really feel comfortable with. And I hear her saying, like, I'm really protective of my heart. I would love for this to work. And on a certain level, I believe her. I believe she wants this to work, but at his expense. Because what are you going to do different to help this work? And then we go into Adam and Marissa. I have never seen anybody make pickleball this much of their personality in my life. They just get off the jet skis. Her hair is messed up. Marissa is feeling seasick. And now she got to go play pickleball with Nick and Courteney. My girl is not feeling it. She's tired. She needs her nap. She's already letting us know she's not a good player. Now, meanwhile, Adam is talking about having some type of training program for Marissa. Sir, do you hear yourself? Meanwhile, he's over here talking about the future of having hobbies and playing sports together. Marissa's like, I'm just trying to survive today. I'm just trying to get through it, baby. Even Nick calls out the fact that Adam is the voice of the relationship and he doesn't know much about Marissa at all. Nick even wants Marissa to assert herself a little bit more so they do find out more about her. Do you know how bad it has to be for your friend groups to start calling it out? And Marissa says she's going to stay at his place for a year. I really hope she doesn't, because I want her to maintain some sort of identity outside of Adam. And I feel like moving into his place could consume her personality. And then their conversation switches to Nick and to Courteney. And Courtney's talking about the fact that she could possibly move in with Nick, which she's surprised by. I don't know if she hasn't thought about what happens after this experiment, but yeah, girl, you're gonna need a place to live with your husband if you plan on keeping him around. Quiet as it's kept, it doesn't feel like she's trying to keep him around. But anyways, Courtney's trying to move to Oregon to raise children near her parents. Nick, Marissa, and Adam are having a good laugh about this because they all see Portland as a smaller version of Seattle without all the charm. Courtney was not feeling this conversation at all. She wanted it to stop immediately. Courtney goes to her confessional, and you already know she got a little crush on Adam. She thinks he's the hottest guy in the group, but she says he's a little weird. Agreed. Courtney says that he has a young spirit. She doesn't know how that would work as a husband. She doesn't see how that could go on forever. And also, agreed, it's exhausting. Everything is competition or activity or time in the sun. Never relax. Never go to brunch. Never lay down and take a nap. I don't understand this life, Adam. And I mean, some people would love that. I'm just exhausted at the thought. Now, the couple separate and the guys go talk. So Nick and Adam, and then there's Courtney and Marissa. So when we get into the conversation between Courtney and Marissa, they're talking about Nick, and it comes up that Courtney thinks he's a very nice guy. He's great. They're compatible. Things are progressing. But, and I knew the but was coming, Courtney is exhausting. She says, how is Nick challenging me? Girl, what do you want him to do? What do you want Nick to do? And what could he possibly do to make you happy? Because it seems like nothing's ever good enough. And the goalpost just keeps moving. So then Marissa starts talking about her and Adam. And she's very honest. She says, I want to go travel. I want to do brunch. I want to do dinner dates. We haven't even been out together. Sir, what are you doing, Adam? Your wife should be wined and dined at this point of the experiment, and they're just sitting on his jet ski every day. That's weird. That's very, very strange. It feels like all Adam does is think about jet skis. He dreams about pickleball. He wakes up and he grabs a sandwich just so he can have energy to be on the court. There's nothing else in his life that he finds interesting besides his jet ski and pickleball. And I need something else, Adam. I need something else. So then we switch gears into Devin and Caitlin. And I love that it took a dog walk for him to come to this realization that he needs more from his wife. This man is in his feelings, but he's being honest. He's saying the quiet part out loud. I need her to meet me where I'm at. And then we go to the cookout with his friends, and I see more and more of what he means. Caitlin's sitting with Devin's friends, just laughing it up, kikiing. This is a great relationship. We're making progress. We had some bumps at the beginning. Now things are better. Meanwhile, Devin is over here cooking for her. He's not making jokes because she won't laugh. He's just out here doing whatever he can to be tolerated by her. And he's telling his friends, I feel like I'm dimming my light for her. And his friend agrees. She notices the difference just by observing them, that Caitlin has every reason to be happy. I mean, you're doing all the things for her. You're bending to her. And on the other hand, what are you getting in return? The friend even says everybody's heaven looks a little bit different, but if they're not compatible in the most basic of ways, they're going to struggle. I get why Devin is asking or wondering if this is as good as it gets, because it cannot stay this way. This seems this seems lonely. I can't imagine being in a marriage. I can't imagine being in a marriage and not feeling valued and prioritized for my full self. So all the couples go to the couples dinner. So everybody comes in. We see Shawn and Nikki matching. We see BelleJolie and Mecca. They come in fly. Paul calls Belle and Mecca showy as soon as they walk in. And I don't think that that's what that is at all. I think these are just two people who are young entertainers who like to express themselves through their clothing. And they match each other's swag, whether you like it or not. They are expressing themselves artistically. And I think Paul just sees that, and he sees them through that lens of showiness or gaudiness. And I love that Dr. Lisa actually stopped that conversation and said, oh, I actually think they look great together. Because I think sometimes when we aren't aware of it, we start to project how we feel about people's outward on their inward. He confuses their confidence and personality and style for performance, but that's just how they show up. Nick and Courteney go first. Nick is about to tell everybody that they made out for the first time, and he's so excited about this. And Courteney looks like she's going to crawl out of her skin. So what does she do but cut him off to announce it for herself? She proceeds to look uncomfortable for the rest of the chat and even jokes, happy husband, happy life. And I think it's true what Dr. Lisa said, that this was an attempt by Courteney to invalidate that experience and moment with him. Because she felt cringe in that moment, she starts to project that onto him as though it's his fault somehow. He did not make you do anything. That was a homework assignment from Dr. Lisa. You decided to go with it, and this was just an experience. So Shawn and Nikki go next, and they talk about how they're cooking together, spending time together, working on the physical side of things together. And I thought it was good the way that they were presenting it. I do think that it's smart to not bring your issues to this table. Nikki talked about how she didn't want to look bad in front of people. So I'm glad they just left it at that. They can discuss all their other issues with the therapist. I think the editors are messy because they're taking facial expressions from other places and plopping it here. And if you're watching it, you can tell whenever they cut away, don't assume that those are actually the facial expressions of the people at the same time. They just want you to doubt that Nikki and Shawn actually feel the way that they're saying they feel. Producers are just messy, and it makes for good TV, so I'm here for it. Felipe and Tori go next, and I thought it was interesting because he was saluting Shawn and Nikki for having their hard moments first, because he says that he and Tori have not had an argument yet. And I'm like, boy, don't go create no problems. But I do believe that part of him is looking for the problem so he can look for the out. He is on the verge of cheating, and we only 3 weeks in. I said, baby, Felipe is going to have to hit a hard 180 on this to course correct, because it's giving, I want to cheat. But I do understand him. I think his question at the end of the day really was, how are we going to function when life gets hard? And when we have different opinions about things, how are we going to come to resolution and repair? And that's a valid question. And then it's Marissa and Adam. I cackled when they said they had their first argument, and everybody erupts into applause because they've been such a non-committal couple. It's like they're still dating and taking things casually even though they're married. So everybody was just as excited as we were to see them actually have serious conversation. For the first time, Marissa speaks up and says, I don't want to do this every day. I'm tired of pickleball. I'm tired of jet skis. I don't like the way my hair looks when I'm on the jet ski, and it's just too much for me every single day. Adam explained that to the group, but then he added a little sprinkle of something on top, which I did not appreciate. Adam says, I did all these things with my ex. I had hobbies with her, and we would play in tournaments together. Marissa is like, we don't have a lot of time. We can't spend 3 hours a day playing pickleball. And I feel her on that. Where's the time to get to know each other and actually build a marriage? Like, that is part of what needs to happen here. Adam then explains why it's so important to him that they be physically active. It's because he wants to push himself 7 days a week, and he wants them to push each other and train daily. He talks about his last girlfriend and how they shared hobbies and they pushed each other. Why didn't you just marry the last girlfriend? Why are you here then? And then everybody's like, okay, so why can't y'all have separate hobbies? And he's like, well, I don't want to do that because I saw what it was like with my last girlfriend to have the same hobbies, and it was great. It couldn't have been too great if you are now here and looking for a wife from Married at First Sight, Adam. What's not clocking? What's not clocking for you, Adam? To me, Adam and Marissa just have different definitions of what quality time look like. And if they don't figure this out before decision day, it's going to be a much bigger problem than hobbies. And I know a lot of people might think that this episode didn't contain much, but I loved it. I thought we really got to know each of the couples, what they were struggling with, and the conversations got a lot deeper. I will say Michelle and Cameron continue to surprise me with how much depth they have in their relationship. Belle and Mecca complement each other so well when it comes to communication and emotional intelligence, especially on Belle's part. And Caitlin and Devin still feel like they're speaking two very different love languages. And I don't know that they're ever going to be compatible because she's so far away from where he is. And the two of them might be better with other people who naturally lean towards their style of relationships. Nick and Courteney, baby, I don't know what to tell y'all. The two of them need to go away and be separated. Shawn and Nikki communicated better this week. However, they have some really big communication barriers with each other and really big differences in expectations when it comes to developing a marital relationship with each other. And Adam and Marissa had the conversation that needed to be had a while ago. And I'm so glad that Marissa stood up for herself. Drop your comments down below about what y'all think about these couples so far. We're over halfway done with this season now, and these couples are not looking good. They still have a lot to figure out in these last few weeks. And if you like this recap, make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you don't miss our next Married at First Sight recap. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.